Hey everybody, it's Kellen Nitro for Nitro Maniac TV's wrestling channel, and yes, Survivor Series 2017 is behind us. This is Nitro's take on Survivor Series 2017 that just concluded in Houston on Sunday, November 19th, 2017, on the WWE Network and on a pay-per-view supplier near you if you still do the pay-per-view thing. If you do, you are a rich person. Because I don't have that money to spend. Just kidding. However you consume the pay-per-view is cool with me. Just going to talk about the main show matches that happened during the 4-hour pay-per-view WWE Network special portion of the show. I didn't catch any of the pre-show stuff due to other commitments. So the first match I seen was the Shield versus New Day 6-man tag. And I was kind of expecting a little bit more insanity out of this. I would have liked to have seen this as like a no DQ 6-man tag, but for it being kind of an all-star type format where you have one brand versus another, the match was purely acceptable. I know it's a dream match for a lot of people to see this 6-man unit versus the other 6-man unit with Shield going against the New Day to see what would happen. Shield getting the win in that match. They need to start building momentum for the Shield, obviously, because of all the lost momentum from TLC not having Roman in the mix. And ultimately, this whole reunion is to relaunch Roman. Now, whether they're going to relaunch Roman as a face or a heel coming out of this is still kind of yet to be determined by creative. For one, I think the time is right to relaunch him as a heel. However, with John Cena becoming kind of a part-time guy, you don't really expect, and WWE having that I guess the infatuation, for lack of a better term, of having a guy as the kids love him, but the parents hate him type thing. Like a tweener coming up the middle type scenario. It's tough, and the right way to do it would be to launch Roman finally when the Shield thing runs out as a heel again. But all in all, regarding this match, wouldn't change anything in it at all. Maybe shorten the time a little bit. I thought it ran a little bit too long with some of the false finishes and that stuff. But otherwise, a very good opener to the show. The women's 5-on-5 Survivor Series match between Team Raw and Team SmackDown went down, and man, that was pretty good, I think. Team Raw got the win, so they went up 2-0 on the scoreboard already as stuff went on. The matchup between Nia Jax and Tamina is something that hopefully I'm looking forward to seeing in 2018 and beyond, just because the two power women of WWE going head to head like that, the two kind of larger athletes, is just an intriguing matchup. Like it'd be the equivalency of having two super heavyweights on the men's side going back and forth. That was probably my favorite pairing out of everything that went down during that match. And with a Survivor Series style match, with any type of multi-man or multi-woman matches, it's hit your shit and leave, and hit your shit and leave. So everybody got in their stuff, and the match flowed smoothly, I thought. And it's arguably, I don't want to say it was one of the more boring 5-on-5 matches I've seen at Survivor Series in the past, but I don't think I'm going to be remembering this one in about a year or two from now. It's I don't want to say that the quality of it was quite forgettable, but there was a certain unremarkability. How about that? Unremarkable ability, I guess, or unremarkableness, I should say. Inventing words and terms on the fly here. It doesn't have that timeless quality to it. So I think it was in the right spot on the card. They got through it. Team Raw got another point, and ergo, we go on to the next one. Asuka was the sole survivor of the women's 5-on-5 elimination tag. Great for her. It helped builds her that, hey, she actually went through the Survivor Series match and was the sole survivor. The undefeated streak is intact. It keeps rolling on, and yeah, they're going to keep building her for the future. I fully expect this undefeated streak to probably stretch into Mania of next year, maybe with the Raw Women's title in tow as well. So we'll wait and see about that. The mid-card match of champions between Baron Corbin and The Miz, and man, I can't believe it. They actually did a great job of turning The Miz face during the duration of this program online when he was feuding with Corbin. The build for this match was almost exclusively done online, as they were using Miz as a heel on Raw to build up some of the other matches like the Shield stuff and what else were they using him for? Braun, guys like that, you know, coming into Survivor Series. So the fact of the matter that they actually put on a heck of a match, like it's between the two of them, it was a great story told. Corbin, I think the heel factor for him, he out-heeled WWE's one of WWE's top 5 heels, I should say, from over the past year or so in that match. I thought, and you know, with a heel versus heel or a face versus face match, you always get that kind of, oh boy, okay, it's kind of the cliche. Well, people will be kind of bored, you know, halfway through because there's not the natural inclination of good versus evil there. But I think they did a really good job, even with having Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel out there, of having Miz portray the face in that match. Maybe because maybe it helped that Maurice was not necessarily ringside, but sitting first row in the crowd and that stuff. I'm not sure if that was a well, it was obviously by design, but I'm not sure if that was a desired effect or not that they were looking for. But it came across like that and almost flawlessly on the broadcast. It was great. And Corbin got the win. So, hey, kudos to him. And, you know, got SmackDown's first point of the night. Man, really great match. In fact, it was my favorite match of the night, my favorite singles match on the card. So, you know, kudos to both those guys for putting on, you know, my favorite match of the night. It was really fun to watch. The tag champions collide, the Usos versus The Bar. And this one was kind of, after the great singles match that I seen on the card, this one was a little bit snoozy, I thought. It was a very good match for television quality, for sure. Like, it would have been a great match for the third hour of Raw or second hour of SmackDown. But again, for a pay-per-view network special, you're always looking for something more, especially with a big 4 pay-per-view like Survivor Series is. So, again, nothing really remarkable about it. But, you know, passable with the Usos getting the win and getting another point. There you go. So SmackDown trying to even the odds a little bit. It accomplished what it needed to accomplish. It was, I really didn't see that match as being a real standout match. And the next match afterwards, unfortunately, it could have been a lot. It's like the next match I'm going to mention afterwards. Both these matches could have been a lot more, but ended up, to me, being very snoozy and very almost run-of-the-mill. So the Battle of the Women's Champions, Alexa Bliss from Raw versus Charlotte Flair from SmackDown. And of course, Charlotte Flair being thrown into this match about a week or so ago to kind of help raise the pay-per-view buy rates a little bit and that stuff, because the original match was Alexa Bliss versus Natalya, but Natalya ended up being on the 5-on-5 Women's Survivor Series team, being named, I think, prior to the NXT card online by Shane McMahon via Twitter on Saturday. So again, this one was very snoozy. Girls worked a very competitive match, I thought, and the ending of the match I really liked. I thought it was a very good sequence, but the flow of the entire thing was very kind of stop-start, not overly just kind of your classic sports entertainment style pace, your North American sports entertainment style pace, and I don't know what I was expecting otherwise from that, but it seems, no, again, this match felt like it should have been third hour of Raw or second hour of SmackDown. It was, I think, because both these girls were on, I think this was the first pay-per-view meeting of them, but they had mentioned that they had wrestled each other in NXT in the past and that stuff, and so that's probably where the familiarity was and that stuff. You know, obviously way before the network specials of NXT and everything. Maybe in that era of the transition, I'm not sure, but it didn't do anything for me. So, you know, just a good match, not great. Boy, the quality actually picked up though big time after that match though, because the next one was the Universal Championship versus WWE Champion. You had the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar versus WWE Champion AJ Styles. And the rumored run-in by Jinder Mahal did not happen during this match, which I found very interesting. A lot of sheets and websites were saying that, oh, Jinder Mahal will run in at some time during this pay-per-view, I should say, and that they would say that would be the spot to cost AJ the match. It wasn't. They actually kept it a nice competitive matchup. You know, save for the bits where Lesnar was just mauling the hell out of AJ, and that's what you would expect would happen when you have somebody who wrestles kind of the hybrid, high-flying luchador type style, as AJ does, versus a guy who's a ground and pound super heavyweight UFC fighter, which Brock Lesnar is. Lesnar got the win, did a great job of selling a knee injury during the match, whereas AJ was kind of just selling everything. There was actually, you know, comments from Graves during the match and that stuff that he's hurt, he's selling anything. And I'll use this time too to mention something that I should have mentioned off the top. There was a 5-man commentary booth during this match, or during this pay-per-view for every match. And I thought off the first match, when I first saw it, that, oh man, 5 men in the booth, it's going to be overkill on the mics. It's going to be an actual it's going to be an absolute, I should say, cluster F. But it worked out great. So AJ Styles loses to Brock, which means Raw scores another point going into the finale. Everything's all tied up. The 5-on-5 men's Survivor Series elimination tag match. And God, the amount of dream matches we saw happen tonight in there. I mean, John Cena versus Samoa Joe is something I would love to see in 2018 sometime. I think they use that match as kind of a showcase to give everybody a teaser of potential pairings that might be headlining pay-per-views in 2018. John Cena and Samoa Joe seems like something that would be a headlining thing for maybe a spring-summer type pay-per-view, stuff leading into SummerSlam, potentially like a Money in the Bank or a Battleground, something like that. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Triple H, awesome. Bobby Roode versus Triple H, awesome. Pretty much any of these NXT alum versus the game Triple H would be amazing, considering, hey, Triple H brought these people to WWE. We all know the backstory. These would be fantastic matches. The 5-on-5 Survivor Series match itself was confusing at times, but if you watch from start to finish, you kind of got a good sense of what was going on. Strowman's a monster. At the very end of the match, looks like they're building towards a Kurt Angle Triple H match at a major pay-per-view somewhere down the line. Whether it's Mania or not, I'm not sure, but it could easily be a match at Royal Rumble as well between the two of them. To drive the nostalgia buy rates up a little bit, and also to play off this current storyline of, okay, well, essentially Triple H bailed Kurt Angle out of the situation. Another person we did not see a run-in was Jason Jordan, and I figured because Jordan was pedigreed out of the Survivor Series match on Raw the week previous, we'd get a run-in from Jason Jordan. there wasn't very. In fact, the only run-in was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn attacking Shane McMahon. So we'll see later on down the line what happens off that. It keeps it in the main event scene for SmackDown, which is great, and with their pay-per-view coming up, and they also have I think the Starrcade thing is still kind of rolling out as a house show at this point. I haven't seen anything advertised that it will be on the network or whatever. So aiming to go forward with pretty well the Clash of Champions now in December of all things, which is part of the whole renaming pay-per-view redesign of this year, I guess, from previous years. It makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of flexibility with SmackDown with these storylines that they can have already leading out to it. Guaranteed, you're probably going to have a Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus potentially a Shane McMahon and another partner tag match. Maybe Shane McMahon brings in John Cena again, like as a free agent. So it's McMahon and Cena versus Owens and Zayn in a tag match at Clash of Champions. Potentially throwing it out there. And the WWE title picture. I know there's a WWE title match coming up for SmackDown on Tuesday between AJ Styles and Jinder Mahal, I should say. And the way Styles got ragdolled in that match tonight and that stuff, I'm thinking that Styles is going to lose on Tuesday and Mahal will walk out with the title again, leading up to maybe some sort of gimmick blow off at Clash of Champions. Maybe it's a cage, maybe it's a ladder match, something like that along the lines. So we'll wait and see what happens off of that. But Survivor Series, albeit again a bit long, these 4-hour shows are killer for sure on the fan excitement and everything. If they could dial it back to 3 hours and 30 minutes for these shows, that actually would be probably a little bit better. I feel sorry for like I said, I didn't catch any of the pre-show. I feel sorry for the folks who did catch the pre-show and sat through that and then sat through the entire pay-per-view, because that's a full 6 hours, 6+ hours of wrestling, and that's kind of a little bit overkill, even for the most hardcore wrestling fans that there are out there, and not fans of hardcore wrestling, but the hardcore fans that like to consume wrestling, if that makes sense. Solid 8 out of 10 for this one. I thought it was a very passable show. The build up for it was amazing, with both brands kind of going head to head. I'll definitely be seeking this out when it comes out on Blu-ray and DVD as well, just because I'm a hardcore physical media collector, and if there's a good card that comes out, I want to grab it on some sort of permanent as permanent as a DVD and Blu-ray is, and yes, of course it's archived on a network, I know that, but that's the thing. So anyways, take care. That's my take on Survivor Series 2017. I'm Killer Nitro. Later days and happy wrestling watching. What did you think of the card? Put your comments below, and you can tweet at me at Twitter at Killer Nitro. We'll see you later, and thank you very much for subscribing and watching to Nitromaniac TV's wrestling channel. Take care.